Power is a force that shapes everything around us, our relationships, governments, and even entire societies. It's something everyone experiences, from world leaders to the person sitting next to you. But what exactly is power? Is it just a way to control others, or is it something more complex? Something that affects everything we do? To fully understand power, we need to dig deeper into its meaning, its ethical side, and how philosophers have thought about it throughout history. Let's begin by answering a basic question. What is the true essence of power? Power is often thought of as the ability to influence or control others. That is the essence of power. We usually see it as something someone uses to get what they want. But this is just one side of the story. Power isn't just something one person has over another, it's about relationships and how different people, groups, and systems interact. As philosopher Michel Foucault said, power is everywhere, not because it embraces everything, but because it comes from everywhere. Foucault's idea suggests that power isn't just something a few people hold, but something that exists in every part of life, in our workplace, schools, and even in our conversations. Foucault explained that power isn't only about rulers or governments, it also works through smaller actions like how we speak, how we think, or how we treat each other. As he says, power is not something that is acquired, seized, or shared, but something that is exercised from innumerable points. So, power is not just a big force on top of us, it's in everything. Power can work in two main ways: coercive power and persuasive power. Coercive power is what we usually think of, using force or threats to control others. This is the type of power we see in dictatorships or governments that use violence to keep people in line. The philosopher Thomas Hobbes argued that in the state of nature, without a government, humans would always be in conflict. He said, the condition of man is a condition of war of everyone against everyone. According to Hobbes, a powerful ruler, like a king, is important to bring order and stop people from fighting. Persuasive power, on the other hand, is more subtle. It involves shaping someone's thoughts or desires without using force. This is the power we see in advertising, social media, or even personal relationships. Friedrich Nietzsche, in his work Beyond Good and Evil, argued that power isn't only about controlling others, it's about growing and creating. He said, the will to power is a fundamental principle of life, a striving to bring all things under its control, to make them its own. Nietzsche saw power as something that helps individuals grow beyond their limits, not just something used to dominate others. Power isn't only in the hands of individuals, it's also part of the larger structures in society. Philosopher Max Weber explored how power works in different ways in different types of societies. He identified three main types of authority. The first one being traditional authority. This kind of power is based on customs and traditions. It's the type of power we see in monarchies, where kings or queens rule because their family has always been in charge. Then we also have charismatic authority, and this power comes from the personal qualities of a leader. People follow them because of their charm, vision, or energy, not because they have a legal right to rule. Think of famous leaders or activists who inspire others to follow them. And then the last one is legal rational authority. This kind of power comes from rules, laws, and institutions. Most modern governments work this way, where power is shared according to laws and regulations. Weber saw legal, rational authority as the most common in the modern world, where governments and organizations are built on rules, but each type of authority has its limits and strengths depending on the situation. As we think about power, we have to ask, is it always bad? Can power ever be used for good? Lord Acton famously said, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. He believed that when people hold too much power, they will always almost use it to their advantage, becoming corrupt in the process. This idea has been explored by other philosophers as well. Plato, for example, thought that power could easily corrupt rulers who were not virtuous. In the Republic, he said that the ideal ruler would be a philosopher king, someone wise and just who would use power to benefit the whole society, not just themselves. But Plato was also aware of the dangers of power. He believed that without wisdom, power could easily turn into tyranny. However, Nietzsche had a very different view. He saw power as a force for personal and collective growth. He believed that the will to power wasn't about controlling others, but about overcoming obstacles and becoming better versions of ourselves. Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how, meaning that those who have a purpose in life can face any challenge, including the challenges that power can bring. Power also affects how we think and behave. Research shows that when people hold power, it changes their actions and perceptions. Psychologist Dasher Keltner found that power can make people more confident and assertive, but it can also lead to behaviors like overconfidence, entitlement, and a lack of empathy for others. This is also seen in experiments like the Stanford Prison Experiment, led by Philip Zimbardo. In this study, people given power became cruel and abusive to those in lower positions. Zimbardo's work showed how power can lead to bad behavior when it is unchecked. But not all power is bad. Psychologist David McClelland studied how people's need for power can be either destructive or constructive. He found that some people use power to control others while others use it to help society. McClelland made a distinction between personal power, which is used to, well, of course, dominate others, and social power, which is used to influence others for the common good. This shows that power can be a force for good when used with the right intentions. Power is always changing. Great empires rise and fall, and power dynamics shift over time. The philosopher Hegel said that history is a process where each phase leads to its opposite, and together they create progress. Hegel wrote, what is rational is real, and what is real is rational. This means that history moves in a way that seems logical, even when things appear to be chaotic. Throughout history, we've seen the rise and fall of powerful empires like the Roman Empire or the British Empire. Philosophers like Plato warned that power often leads to corruption. He described a cycle where societies move from being governed by wise rulers to being governed by the desire for wealth and power, and eventually to tyranny, where one person takes control. This cycle shows that no society is immune to the corrupting influence of power. Power is more than just the ability to control others. It shapes our societies, our personal lives, and the course of history. Philosophers like Foucault, Nietzsche, and Plato all saw power as a force that can be both constructive and destructive. Power is a tool that can be used for personal growth, social justice, or oppression, depending on how it's used. The way we understand and use power has a huge impact on our lives and the world around us. When used responsibly, Power can be a force for good, helping us grow and make positive changes. But when misused, it can lead to corruption and harm. The philosophy of power challenges us to think deeply about how we use it, how it works in society, and the kind of world we want to create.